I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I will never actively choose to have ads that play when the video starts or interrupts the video. If you get any of that, please let me know in the comments. I not very good with this YouTube thing, and I think there are ads for people viewing my videos. I don't have enough subscribers to even be able to do any monetizing or anything. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment. I will try to reply. Had a small coolant leak on the forwarder. We could see a tiny bit of signs a few days before, but it didn't drop in level really, but it left a tiny little mark where it was sparked. But this morning we could see a little drip, drip, drip under it. So skid plate was under the engine was dropped. Had to loosen the diesel heater to get a little more access and seeing and figuring out what hose caused the issues, because it was just the hose this time. The diesel heater had some threads are stripped, so they just put a longer bolt and a nut on the inside, so it's a little harder to undo. And then a little further up, two of these coolant hoses. I think one, I'm not sure, I think they both coolant hoses, but there are two hoses in a clamp, and one of them seemed to be the issue.
Hold där bara.
Having the clamp off, we could start moving the hoses around some and
Den här är ju
confirm
jättebra.
which one that was
Jag
leaking,
kan inget
and
sådär skada på.
it was
Han går en
an
båge.
oil hose.
Ja.
It was not listed as good for coolant, and it was plenty stiff and had started cracking. Some measuring to see how much hose would be required to replace it. A little tricky getting in there and undoing the clamp at the top of the motor for it. With clamp gone, it could be wiggled free, and I tried getting in there as quickly as possible with a plug to plug it up and not lose unnecessary coolant. Now we had brought out some bucket to collect the spill. Found a little piece of plastic inside the end of the hose near the diesel heater, so we figured out where that came from. Also noticed a couple of the bolts holding a bracket here that helps mount the muffler and I think the coolant tank, and the bracket from the back of the engine was a little loose, so that was tightened up. And here you can see how to use a drone if you haven't seen that before. It's quite simple. You have a little clamp around it just for transportation. You fold out the legs on it, remove a protection for the camera gimbal because it can tilt up and down and side to side for a more stable video. You use a phone as the display to see the live feed from the drone, and then a remote, and it's super simple to use. You start both of them. Yeah, you need to put the battery in, and the modern things are super easy to use. You push to take off, and you have two joysticks and a little toggle wheel to tilt the camera, and when you're done flying you call it back home or fly it back home and try to line it up with a smooth surface. You can't really force it down in a bad place. Well, you can probably, but it stops near the ground, and if holding down button it eventually agrees to land. It has some sensors at the bottom. More expensive drones have sensors both up and sides, but this is a cheaper thing. Here I found a plastic connection that connects to that 90-degree angle near the diesel heater, and the stiff hose, it was this plastic adapter that had broke. That was the plastic piece we found earlier. So with some new hose and a new plastic connector we could start assembling. I couldn't just feed the hose directly into the diesel heater as I thought, because it's like this 90-degree band is bigger in one end, and I think there is a solution like that in other places on both machines. Yeah, I had threaded the hose through and started connecting it down by the diesel heater. And I struggled a little getting it in place, and even with lube it was a little bit tight, but that's probably good. Had misplaced it a little bit where I wanted it, so I had to rethread it over a hose that it was at first sent under to have a good loop at the
Ja,
top.
jag satt dit. Ja, för de där var
The
faktiskt
clamp
otroligt.
down below was
Ja.
put in place to see how much hose would be needed before cutting it to length. With the routing done, and we had checked how long would be suitable, we had cut it and were ready to plug it back into the top of
Ja, är vi
the motor.
på gång?
And as I pulled that little yellow plug out, and my dad was ready to push it down and try to lose as little coolant as possible, he ended up being able to snag the tip of that yellow plug, so we had to back it back out a tiny bit to get it into
Är
place.
du beredd att trycka då? När jag säger till? Ja. Vänta. Tryck då.
Other than that, well, there wasn't really any big issues with this repair. Just an old cracked hose, and that's a problem that I like to have. Placed a little lube on top of the hose where the clamp goes and tightened the clamp up, and we were ready to fill coolant, and the machines were up and running again. So nice, easy fix. Take care, stay safe.